what is your life? It's a story. And if you think about, like, if you go to a movie, if you read a book, there's usually 7 elements of a story. There's the fundamental way you know what the story's about is the main character has a desire, a driving desire. If you go back like 30 years and you look at a terrible movie that almost everybody's seen, Schwarzenegger made this movie called True Lies. And in the beginning of this movie, you see the beginning of this guy and you realize he's a spy and he's going after the bad guys. And so you know what his driving desire is, that your desire determines the story. Is your desire to become one with God? Is your desire to make $1 billion? Is your desire to help the planet? Is your desire to save children? Is it write poetry? That starts your story. Then the next part of your story is you take a look at this and you start to say, everybody has a problem or a need or they wouldn't be after that desire. And what you'll see often is you as the person reading or watching the story, you can see the main characters missing courage, or they're not very kind, or they're not telling the truth. That silly example I gave of Schwarzenegger, he looks like a superhero and he goes home and you realize his family doesn't even know he's a spy. He lies to everybody about everything, right? And so he doesn't have courage at home. He doesn't have honesty. He doesn't have connection. And then the next part of the story is there's opponents always. There are 3 opponents. There's the external opponent, like those bad guys out here, but then there's the intimate opponent. In that movie, he thinks his wife is cheating on him and she's not, and so he has fights there. But then there's ultimately the fight within yourself, the internal opponent. And as you fight that, you usually come up with a plan to deal with these opponents, and if you want to make God laugh, tell her your plans, right? You have battles. But eventually, if you keep growing those battles, you have self-revelation. You have a moment when you realize, oh my God, it's not her, it's me. I'm not being honest. I'm not being courageous. I'm being courageous here, but not here where it matters. And that self-revelation leads to new actions, new character, and then you get to an equilibrium where life will never be the same again, or, they're happily ever after.